building chairman will call this AC meeting in order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Online, we have Chuck from Colliers. Anyone else online? Nope. No. All right. That being said, let's get this meeting going. The first item on the agenda is meeting minutes to approve. The second item on the agenda, project updates. Gets to start out.
Well, I'll go through briefly. Got the schematic design on August 4th. Then Gilbane and BL went through, did the estimates. We got those the 18th of August, and then we've been working, well, the week of that ended in August 18th. That Monday, Gilbane, BL, Fairfield Public Schools all did a tour of the three schools, looked at the existing conditions and some of the scope and how it was going to fit into the existing condition. On that Friday, we got the estimates, and we have been meeting the last week and a half on reconciling the estimates to the scope and to what we have presently, working through basically the scope items as we gone through. What we sent out last night was the result of the estimate and the scope, reconciling the estimate with the scope, and then I also sent along the budgets that include not only the 3 HVAC projects, but for North Stratfield, the roof and the security vestibule, Fairfield Woods, the security vestibule, and then Osborne Hill, the security vestibule. So in total, we have 6 projects. So there'll be hopefully only 6 state projects that we will be tracking as we go along on this project. We took Gilbane's numbers and put the soft cost to it, and came up with the final budget numbers that I sent out last night.
Just a quick question. I know there's 6 projects, 3, right, with air conditioning, 3 with the vestibule, correct? The charge of the building committee is for AC or for all 6 of these projects?
The charge included the vestibule.
The state grants that we're fighting a deadline for, are they for the vestibules or for the ACs?
For the AC grant has a deadline attached to it.
So the grant is tied into the AC project.
We have not applied for the vestibule project because we haven't done big added services, and we don't have all the pieces in place to make that application. Basically, a design and an estimate is what we don't have to do that. We have funding, we have as a budget attached to it, which the state may want and file for their example.
So total approval from the town was how much?
I don't have that in front of me. The AC projects was 23. AC project 22.3.
22.3 for AC project, okay?
The
Combined, right?
combined.
Okay.
The vestibules were total roughly 2 million. EPC is 22.7 million.
And the vestibules for all three schools were granted $2.1 million.
Approximately March.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's for the town. Commissioner?
That's what they're approved.
That's the town.
That's the town portion.
That's the
North
town's
Strat-
funding.
North Stratfield vestibule was 652.5.
That's North Strathfield?
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay.
Number again?
650. Six what?
652.5.
Okay,
The vestibule at Osborne Hill was 597.5.
okay.
And Fairfield Woods, entrance vestibule was 769.5.
769.5 Fairfield Woods.
And then you have roof.
And
North Stratfield roof was, hang on one second. North Stratfield roof is, total 2.9 million.
2.9, that's the roof. And that's part of this project, okay. How much for the AC project, the grants from the state, how much do they total?
$6 million. Well, it was 6.2 million, but part of that is for awards.
How-
We don't have the breakout of that.
Can we get that?
Yeah,
So Mark,
yeah, I got it.
Mark should have those numbers.
6.2 million total.
Guys hear me at
AC
all?
project, the 22.
'Cause I can't hear you guys on my end. Might
that
be
was approved,
my settings.
minus whatever the grant
I'm just going to call into the call-in number if you can hear me.
design. And we can walk you through some of the variants. Originally assumed versus where we are today. So this.
Yeah, and I don't see it in here, so to me, it's probably this phase one. And add additional line to them. And maybe we can do it that way after that. Prepare it a little just very simple, right? So it's got the amount that the original amount for the project,
Okay,
the amount of state dollars that was tied to that number, and determine where
you
we
want
are.
you want the available funding, current available funding right now.
Exactly.
Okay,
Project by project, right? So vestibule,
Yep.
AC, school by school, how much originally you thought each of those was gonna cost,
Yep.
therefore available funding, and then how much of that was grant available. And then show the delta project by project, right? That's gonna be like, to me, that's one of the first questions that's gonna get asked here. The next will be well, how come? Sure. And there's probably a whole bunch of that.
Of course, yes.
We should dive into.
Right.
So this draft is showing us 17 million over what was projected, correct?
That's, you gotta be careful when you look at it.
As a draft, it's 17 million over what we
No, you compare the 22 to the 39?
Yeah.
No, well, there's, the 22 million is compared to the 32,877. So if you look at the screen, where it says total construction cost, where it says 32,877, that's benchmark for the 22. Below that, we have, when you say 39, that includes the roof and the vestibule.
Right. Right, which is still part of this project, so.
Right, but at concept, we
Right.
included, but that 32, or that, I'm sorry, that 22.7 also included all the grade. So the grade cost before we broke that down was at 20, just under 24. That's sort of how, on Gilbane, and that's sort of how we looked at it. Now, I can pull up the variance, give you a breakdown, and it has all the sort of included.
So the 22.7 million that the town approved is for the AC project.
Yeah.
Were they aware at that time that there was gonna be vestibules and roof?
They were bonded separately.
That was bonded separately.
Yep, so they were, all projects were presented to them, but separately. Well, Jason, it's your meeting, you run it how you want, but can I make a suggestion? If you let them run through their estimates and what they have to present today, we are gonna get together, and before next meeting, next Friday, I will be working out the waterfall and the cash flow for the town that I will have to present to the town. And before we present that to the town, we will bring it back to you guys to see where the breakout is, where the cost is, where the cash flow lies in the years, so that we can get it to fit within what the town is requesting us to do. And then we will present that to you guys before presenting to the town. But they have a presentation for how they came up with their estimates and where they worked through some of it.
And you have to go back to the town.
Yes. I have to go back to the town's, facilities, working group.
Because of this?
Because of all projects, we do this every year. It's a working group with the town, First Select will make a bunch of other town elected officials get together, and we go through town projects, Board of Ed projects, Water PCA projects, and we talk about so that we have an understanding of where the town is gonna lie and where the bonding for the town will be for the year.
The capital sum.
It's actually a working group to lead up to the capital summit that they started.
So it's a good thing we kept this in draft, because after that meeting, you're gonna come back and say what you guys are actually doing, A and everything else. This number will change.
Well, we're gonna have to work through this number to come up with a cash flow for the year for bonding.
That would have been, smarter to present this after did everything.
It's two different trains.
Right.
You know, they're crossing, you know, they're gonna cross at some point. But you're doing what you need to do, and they're doing it for you. We are at schematic design level,
We went from conceptual design, which was a ETC, it was just a study, it was actually number was pegged on that. It's unusual to get funding at that juncture for a construction. They tried before, and it doesn't always work.
Or we gotta wait.
Right. Because of things like this.
Right.
But that was also done so we were in a position to apply for the HVAC grant. All right, and we won. Now we just need to continue on with this, and Bill suggested. You might want to let them
Fire
explain
away.
how they got
Okay,
where they are.
Let me kind of set the stage a little bit as to what we're about to review. So what Mark indicated, we've had several on-site meetings, several discussions with Jesse and his team. And as far as reconciling the scope for each school, we're talking now just the AC projects, okay? For each school, we went through and determined what was needed, and by the way, this is not just AC project, there's electrical infrastructure upgrades as well, meaning switchgear for each school, so I just want to make sure it's not just air conditioning. So we went through every school, we went through the documents that Jesse issued, he actually issued multiple iterations of the information, we reconciled it. So Mike and his team, the estimators, went ahead and actually developed what we call schematic design estimate. As you're all aware, schematic design is about 30% of the information is on the drawings. There's still almost 70% missing. So as the design evolves, more information shows up. We do another estimate, but we do carry some assumptions in this estimate to make sure that by contingencies and cost per square foot, to make sure we capture that additional scope that's going to show up later on. So with that, I'm going to actually turn it over to Mike. He's going to walk you through every school. So this is just the AC estimates for each school. So, yeah, Mike.
And I can go to the variance quick, but just like Mark said, high level, format that we use, and I know we had to break it out by school, so we have it broken out by school, and it's by construction. So I can get into the details, but like Mark said, at SD, the quantification isn't all there. Obviously, Jesse's, they're gonna several more drawings where we actually get quantity search. So at SD level, we make assumptions based on work area square footage, based on other previous projects and historical data, and we go from there. A lot of floods here, like that. You'll see that when we get down. So, I kind of wanted to start off with the variance though, because I know that's obviously a hot topic. Just looking at construction costs, and I know the grants, roof replacements, that's the but from concept to SD, total construction costs without the grants was just under $24 million. Now it's just under 33. There's a $9 million delta there. Biggest thing to note is that after looking through the schools, Jesse found that there's another 17,000 square feet of HVAC required.
Combined.
Mostly in Fairfield Woods. I think the two other schools actually went down a little bit.
17,000.
I have 17,000. I can look at the exact number.
Approximately 17,000 square feet of additional areas that we had to eat.
Correct. So when you're pulling square foot numbers, that trade cost that you see there, the $5.7 million. I was trying to run some numbers this morning just to look at it, but that's probably about 80 of the right now. So that's the biggest ticket item. We actually went through each discipline, PSI, up with a more detailed variance. So, Fairfield Woods, we realized we don't have any room for an electrical room in the building, so we have to build one adjacent. So there's premiums associated with that we did. Looking through the schools, we added new partitions, ductwork, more ductwork. Might have to be routed on the roof or through the classroom. So we plug in some money. New electrical room penetration I just talked about, both through the building, masonry repairs, CMU with the new electrical room for Fairfield Woods. Realize we probably have to run condense to poke it through the buildings. brick for an exterior patch. Metal, we are still, again, this item seems as one of those things that hopefully it'll come down at the next level once just structural loads. We have money in there though to do brace framing. Same thing for the framed opening, that falls in with the masonry. That's all the ductwork penetration on the roof. Harder to run through the corridors. So that's just frame out open. Then we have just trade allowance. You'll see that a couple of times here. That's something that our just packages. The next couple were really straight area adjustments. They're not big dollars, but column areas that cost concept. One of the other big things for finishes, looking through the schools, so we're going to have to take down the ceiling, and that concept we were hoping to try to sort of piecemeal that, and looking through the schools and seeing what's up in the sort of made the assumption that we should probably carry money to replace the ceiling wherever we need ductwork. We just the mechanical refrigerant piping, fan coil units up in the ceiling, running electrical, refeeding everything, modifying sprinkler. It's probably best that that's the assumption right now, and that's something that we obviously talk about, but replacing portions of grid for new. Have a final product that so that's our assumption for now. That 1.5 million increase in the finishes, really that. Things like the touch up and repairs, working, taking the ceiling down, everything around it. Want that to look old. Very funny in there. Match, paint, back. We didn't see anything for special pieces that would be like toilet partition for this project. We don't have any of that. Equipment typically is special, again, some specialty items. The one thing we thought of for this period a little bit, it only went up $80 from last time, but that's it. There's a projector mounted. Projector.
Let's do me a favor. Let me interrupt.
Go ahead.
I've done enough building committees, and I say it every time on the committee, we need to stop saying only, because the word only adds up when it's every item number. I don't want to hear the word only. I don't want to hear it's only $2,000, $8,000. At the end of the day, it adds up, and now we're adding up.
Fire suppression, this went in hand with replacing the theater, taking the ceiling grid down, we assume turn the head upright, construction. This was that last time we assumed that we play with down and do selective, but that's an assumption, and if we try to avoid that, that's possible. Saving money. Plumbing, looking at the gas routing, this number is really strictly just for gas routes that are to use their gas fires. But again, that's really pulling from the square foot numbers, so this bigger area requires more gas. HVAC is the big ticket one. That's what the project is for. So concepts back in October. Now, the 17,000 square foot increase was $1,000 variance here, and also we free RFs pricing that on sort of reflected that in our square foot number.
What was the original square foot before we went onto the roof and took a quick and actually took measurements?
That number, we had 100,000 for the
Aggregate between all three steps.
434. About a 17 and a half.
You went on the roof, obviously, go up there. How come such a big difference between what the town gave you and what's actual?
A lot of what we did was based on the concept for by ETC, which for Fairfield Woods wasn't entirely accurate. It was color coding, what areas were air conditioning, but basically our survey of the entire building and what spaces have air conditioning. So our directive is by air conditioning and ventilation. That's really it. Look through the building, determine which spaces don't have air conditioning. That's what's now.
And then the town saw something different to get the numbers to.
Well, that's, and here again, it was a different firm that did the conceptual study. It was Jesse's firm. So anytime that you have a disconnect between agents, there's something gets lost in the translation. Both can be looking at something, looking at the wall, and say it's beige, and the other person says, no, that's a brown. And you have those kind of tweaks. But I mean, it was the charge was the same, but it was the way that it was, and part of it chalks up to the change in profession. That's why when we hired for these projects, we also did the solicitation so that we BL scope, Collier scope, Sylvain scope to the next AC project, so we have a consistency with the district, the town, everything, so no assumptions get dropped, and you have a consistent philosophy.
Maybe because I'm thinking too much like the layman, but if you tell me Fairfield Woods has 7 classrooms that don't have air conditioning, and our goal is to make sure every classroom in Fairfield Woods has air conditioning. I don't understand how between one company and another, there's, 17,000 square feet. He said it, 80% of the reason the increase. That's a huge miss somewhere. Huge miss. Right? So I don't explain to me how one company could be that off with another company if we're talking about classrooms.
Just haven't been involved since concept studies also, not here, but you have a study like that, have someone come in, building for like 4 hours. It's a really short period of time for the concept, and they go through it pretty quickly, get mechanical, electrical, HVAC. They spend like 4 hours. We probably spent 24 days on the study. So we're a lot more detailed once there and once not. And even after that time, we'll still find like a little small office that we didn't think that was air conditioning stuff on these old drawings we have, but now we know that one does have it. So it's really taken us a long time and a lot of field investigation.
So the first basically then the first number was it was just a skim through.
Well,
Yeah, Jason, the other thing is, in one of the schools that I think Jesse can confirm is that there are classrooms that have units that have AC in them, but they are obviously dated.
right.
So that could be the assumption by the previous firm saying, oh, these already have AC, let's not include them. Potentially, I'm just guessing. And
I do remember. No, that's true. There's like Fairfield Woods has a second classroom. They have air conditioning now, but those systems are 25 years old. I would say the lifespan's 50 years, and they're already starting to become a maintenance issue, and they'll just become a nightmare if they were.
So that could be the variance. I think that plays into it, is that when you're dealing with a study, like Jesse said, somebody's spending a day through to try to do high level conception. Really just the report, say, okay, this room has AC, move on to the next one. They could have done that. But Jesse's firm, based on the drawings, you are basically telling us, take those out, put new in those classrooms. Basically bring them up to code, bring them up to, today's standard, and also as it relates to, like I said, the lifespan of them.
about, you know, what he and then maybe that one. But,
That evaluation. Project.
But it sounds like, I don't understand, here's the part, and that's the alarming part, I hear what the board's, right, goals for the air conditioning, all this stuff. But it sounds like from the get-go, these aren't even estimates, these were, we keep saying it's estimates, but we're not using common sense. If we know the AC in those 7 classrooms at Woods are out of there, whatever, and obviously this is before everything happened here, why didn't anyone say, we gotta do a complete air conditioning on every classroom there, because these air conditioning, A, it's not gonna fit in with the new system, and B, they're beyond their prime, they need to replace anyway. Because going into it, you already assume, okay, and then this company comes in there and tells you that. But your initial report is short because you're assuming these 7 classrooms are air conditioned.
It's also the limitations on conceptual studies because, well, let's put it this way: the amount of time and effort that it brought just to get something for the long-term plan as an order of magnitude would entail this. What you want is this level of study and this expenditure. You know, you have to compare it. You want this, if you want schematic design numbers in long-term plans like that, we have to do schematic design on every building, which, as Jesse just told you, is, you know, how many weeks worth of his effort compared to a one-day evaluation of the building.
But when you're looking at that evaluation of the building, your responsibility to tell these people, you know what, that air conditioner's been in there since the 1950s. I think it kind of needs to go.
I understand you're upset, Jason, but I'm not understanding. It is part and parcel of the level of design that went into a number. And it's, I mean, even the design book now, some of this is back historically. You know, people that are no longer in. Right. Originally commissioned. We've been learning all the time, getting better at putting numbers on paper. Some of this for right. I mean, has this methodology been done before? Yes, I can tell you the last time it was done was at Ludlow High School back around 2013, 2014. They went in with conceptual design, conceptual budget. Monies were approved. The monies were handed. Here's your checkbook. The building committee was seated. They got to design and they said, we need more money. And they went to the boards and they said, we need more money. It was, you know, the intention was good. Study was done. But again, you had the exact same thing happen. The people that did the conceptual studies were not the designers. The designs were different than there were differences and the numbers changed. We also have the backdrop of unprecedented inflation. You know, 40 years that nobody's seen in 40 years. So now, would you say this is it's right?
Well, and Ludlow was the project that caused many of the changes that Continental themselves. Part of the argument right now is that we have to revert back because of the timing of the application.
Right. I mean, this served the purpose. It served the purpose to get funding early on a conceptual number. It put us in a position to hit a grant that we would not have won if we hadn't done that as a town, hadn't done that. That being said, I mean, concurrent with Ludlow High School, you have Riverfield.
Let's stay on topic here. We can't change that fast. Let's stay
But,
focused.
yeah, that's the
Let's
point.
stay focused on that.
Just last commentary, as I mentioned earlier, this is also electrical upgrades, Jason, with switchgear. So one of the buildings has a brand new electrical room outdoor. So whatever the study assumed at the time, they assumed probably just go in there, replace the existing switchgear, whatever assumptions they made. This has a lot more from an electrical. In Fairfield, the case, I think, believe Fairfield Woods, we have to chase the primary electric down the street. So there's more to it than just, that's why some of these figures.
Even the ceilings and lighting.
Right.
You know, conceptual designs, but it just air conditioning, the number of the air conditioning, not getting in quite the level. How do we construct this? What's it going to involve? What's equipment? Yeah. That's it, right.
Yeah.
For that aspect of planning phases.
Or that's a BOE, right?
Yeah. Okay. For planning for phases 2 of the,
It's safe to say it's keep this level to get accurate.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna want that.
Yeah.
That's your next step. Is then,
I mean, I'll feedback to the board.
Yeah.
because
The more information, more accurate details, more accurate numbers.
So here's what that means.
It's not design development numbers, not even schematic design.
Let's stay on point.
Yeah.
We can have that offline and.
Yep.
That's
So-
another opportunity.
Go ahead.
Let's, continue on, please.
Mike, go ahead.
So that's almost, that basically wraps up the variance, scope of where you just talked about, we got, not that electrical, but, Stratfield, in the report at concept, it was that we service, as you found out there. So that was a premium there on top of, the lighting that we talked about. And Amar, you talked about site works, again, a new service to Stratfield versus saw that we might need tree removal for, Fairfield, which concept just, by. So that's the variance. But when we get into the detail, again, it's a challenging concept and FD for us. So we rely on our unit pricing, and our quantity takeoffs as opposed to construction documents. So we can take off every single component we can possibly take off, put a price on it, and that's how we really hone in on the number. At this stage, what we're using our historical data and work prices. That's why we saw the same. We're hoping at DD and DD Jesse tighten up and make the HVAC system efficient and maybe these things helpful.
So there's about maybe 20 to 25 pages worth of granular details. Just gave you kind of the variances where we were, where we are on every division. Do you want us to go through the granular details, or do you want to refer back to the summary?
How much is Osborne, since we're on Osborne Hill, how much is Osborne Hill at the beginning? What was it estimated at?
Off of,
Or it's a good question because like Osborne Hill, Stratfield, our trade costs are very exceptional. So it's really just.
That's Fairfield Woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking at, so we had 6.3 million, without the grants or anything, and numbers.
and without the owner's
Not
cost.
that much for Osborne. Osborne,
How much are we over on Osborne right now?
Osborne, about 100,000, he'll be cost.
300,000 over.
Yep.
Okay?
Fairfield Woods, we're at 59 now. We were at about 10 million.
So that went up about 5.9 million.
So it's really all in Fairfield.
And North Stratfield?
5. Actually went down.
How much is it?
10, we're at 10, under 10 million.
that 12.5 is with the owner's costs and contingencies on there. If you're looking,
Oh, you gotta give them construction costs.
yeah, you gotta give them, the 9 million, 9.1 million is construction,
Not all
is trade,
building
yeah.
costs, I'm sorry, not all. Yeah, so let's reset, construction cost only. No owner cost.
I've got your old,
Do we have contingency built into Osborne and all these schools or no?
We have design contingency that you see there of 15% because of the level of design, that gets reduced as the design advances. So when we get to DD, the team will look at it and say, all right, we think we can reduce that down to half.
What about the emergency contingency if we pop a wall open?
well, there's a couple contingencies on there. Gilbane has design or estimating contingency, that, like Lamar was saying, it goes down as the drawings get refined. He also has his construction manager's contingency at 3%.
3%.
And then on the budgets, we have a construction contingency that if it gets, we open a wall and it's there, we have money, yeah. Well, then we have a owner's contingency also.
I could reread it now. I'm sorry, Mark.
What we don't have is what we had on like Mill Hill and Town Hill is that.
Extra money,
The
the abatement one.
Correct.
Jason, do you want us to give you the numbers again on the construction, what it was before? I think Mike
I
was
was reading with,
total cost he was giving you, so.
No, total cost, so
Yes, no,
this time we don't have the owners. Cost. So I'm, total construction cost for North Stratfield and
currently 10-3.
at ST,
You were at
C, total construction cost $9 million.
so that went up 1.3 million. That school, go to the next school again, construction only.
No.
That's North Stratfield, right?
Yes.
But we're still under what was originally estimated, about $2 million, right?
No.
No, I was reading off the total project cost.
did not read terrible numbers
Yeah.
Okay.
So scratch.
Scratch what we gave you earlier, we're giving you new numbers now. Please.
We had a few totals.
Up 1
for grants.
So North Stratfield, construction only, GMP went up 1 point. Go to the next.
Okay. Then Fairfield Woods, construction costs, we were at 8.5.
So that one was the biggest jump, we were 8.5, we're at 15.9.
And that's because of the roof.
That's because of the square footage was a big player to it, the scope itself. Now, don't forget the electrical, the
Yeah.
ceiling, the
Yeah.
lights, all that group. And that building is big. That's why everything
So
exponential.
what was originally given to the estimates on Woods? What was the square footage on Woods?
5,000 square feet upgrade,
And what is the actual?
80,000.
So it grew by substantial amount. But however, the other two schools went down.
Right, what was their number?
How much was the difference? Fairfield Woods.
Field construction, 8.5.
And we're at 15.9. Okay.
So Fairfield Woods grew 20. That's why you see that massive $7 million.
Yes. Yes.
Osborne Hill then, construction one.
6.2 million.
You're at construction.
So total on the AC, on just the AC part,
Construction.
all in, how much are we over?
So that's the summary page. Yeah.
So you're looking at structure. It's right there.
9 million over.
On construction only.
Construction only.
The numbers you just gave us.
Involving or not, that's not involving the best,
8.98, so.
Not involving the vestibule, right?
that's just the AC.
That's correct.
Just the.
So that comes out to 23, but earlier we thought the AC requirement was 7, so good.
Well, the 22.7 PC report, that was the only number available to Angeles to plug in at that time. There was no other, the Gilbane numbers did not exist.
I was getting around with the numbers.
So the 22 million that was pre-approved, right? We're 9 million over that.
For construction.
For construction.
So then, so then only at North Stratfield, we have a roof replacement number in 302, right? But not at the others. That wasn't in.
Right.
Now,
Well-
further review, you're gonna get.
It was anticipated, but it's
It was on the waterfall on that where we're like, well, that's stupid. It was, North Stratfield was on the long-term plan
I was
for
gonna say,
2025, and we're like, oh, shoot,
Well,
that's a collision.
yeah, no, but that's 3.7 million. That's really a roll forward on the waterfall.
Yeah.
It's a real
Yeah.
alignment of the.
And to some degree, although it might be 15 earlier, the 17,000 square feet or some big chunk of it is a roll forward off the waterfall to do it now and get it done, shot, and
If
functioning.
it's 25 years old, even you're past.
So we don't need to entirely today. I mean, we're setting the stage that we're going to have to dig through all the reasons why, but several of these reasons why, and I just go to my own sort of when the RTM had to confirm my appointment, and I went into a thing about my methodology. It's come in here, do this thing right, and not touch it one time. So it would fly in the face of logic to not to move it back or have some astronomical maintenance costs for the next 15 years that might be saved, and we might even be able to show them the schedule as to how putting in a more efficient, integrated system without issues now has to.
You're only disturbing the school once.
Of course. So we should be thinking of ways we can kind of quantify that. So big shock, we can start to piece by piece pick this number down to a much
And so the same
smaller.
point to the vestibule is also the economy of scale. If you are gonna do the AC projects, like for example, we'll be going through the vestibule, just AC, rip out the ceiling, lights, put AC, walk away, then if you come back 2 years later, the vestibule, you can rip out the ceiling, I just put up a potentially the lights, you do with that, so doing it all, there's an economy of scale.
Was the vestibule was part of this that we had to add that?
Did we have?
It was just what Lamar was talking about. We had it on the long-term plan, but it was nearby. You know, it was like, no reason we're mobilizing.
I just want to make sure
These
we
guys-
have grant provision.
Correct, I want to make sure if we just do AC, we don't lose the grant.
I'm sorry, say it again.
The grant from the state is based on us doing
Provision.
construction.
Start off the project, start off the meeting, there's 6 projects, 6 state projects. One of those state projects is the AC for, say, North Stratfield.
Yeah.
And it's an accounting thing on my end where all the costs attributed to the AC project is going in that state project, and that's what the grant is gonna reimburse on. Then I'm gonna have another project that has the vestibule and the roof. Hopefully we can combine them. And any costs associated with those 2 items get reimbursed off that state project. And that'll be probably off your reimbursed 25. Yeah.
That's your normal.
Reimbursement.
So there's not a special grant for it, and there's not a provision in
No.
one that requires
And
another.
it's not on the priority list where it has to be.
But
The Board of Ed can go in front of the state at basically before the 10th of each month and apply for the project.
But it's also been our practice and that when we come in at some point, and one by one, these extra rules are being added in to when we come in. Construction, that would be the time to do it.
Yes, and also
And a
just so-
logic and a disruption perspective.
Yep, and also, so you know, we one of the reasons with the vestibule to this
was because we didn't know about the state grant, we were going to get awarded or not awarded. State would have more appetite to do an AC project with some other construction involved with it, so that's why we looped them together.
Two
as well.
objectives.
Now, we got the grant, so
Right.
do we need to keep, we can push the vegetables out, but why are we gonna push security out when we're, as they said, we're single mobilizing, we're getting
Yeah.
economy to scale because we're already in the buildings. So
And
let's
that-
keep them together.
And that's what we had on the Riverfield project, if you remember, with the gym. Better to do it now.
And the vestibules aren't drastically off either.
No.
Those are the ones.
The $22 million you got from the town. Those town boards that approved it are aware that the vestibule project was part of this?
It was,
When they approved it, was the
They-
board, had
they did not approve $22 million for the vestibule. They did a separate bond approval for the vestibule.
for one
We
point,
went to them as separately. That way,
okay. So, because we're going, project.
we are
with-
close
just
to
like
budget, I believe, for that hearing. From what?
What was the town approved number on that?
2.9, 2.1.
2.1.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the reason we have such a big increase is due to the square footage of mostly woods, all the woods. Right? The other stuff you can give and take, right?
The fuller investigation, as Jesse was saying, the fuller investigation of woods revealed a lot more than was originally expected.
I think
Just
the
to
other,
clarify. Back to the committee, numbers look slightly different, numbers state is getting super higher for construction. They don't together enough total over. So the
Correct.
waterfall to actual total cost will be higher than the numbers that we're giving here. So while we're saying we're 9 million over in construction over, the working group say we're actually 11, whatever it is.
that's, I think, what Mark, you're
Yeah.
putting together. Yeah, so
That's what
Yeah,
Angela
this,
is saying.
this,
that's,
yeah. And I think things that would be helpful, and I said it earlier, but some of these, what the earlier numbers were, deltas on a summary that builds off of this, taking their numbers and any other escalation and having that would be helpful. And then I think continuing to sort of maybe asking, both parties to dial in on for deltas. And I think that many of them are quite easily explained.
Right.
I think that all that's helpful. And that's just the thinking to the boards, the next week up. If we're gonna, and then that just speaks to, I guess, from a timeline perspective, now that we are off of this much, while we're also trying to be fair, we're trying to go forward as quickly as we can, got to try to, I mean, you've got your timeline, with the work group and then the capital planning summit, but really there's an active committee that needs to go ask for more money. And those are places that heads up, some details can occur as part of broader planning. We have a committee that now needs to go ask for money, probably needs to try to do that soon and get on agenda and just go do what we're doing so we can move forward, especially in that some of these items we were talking about ordering like yesterday to go and get in the queue for more increases, for timelines get worse, whatever it may be. And really probably shouldn't go and do that because you never know if they say, well, you know what, that sounds great, but change it and go do something different with sales.
The funding needs to be in place prior to kind of
going out of the bid.
So bidding or finalization, obviously, the design team is marching forward with their design. But there's definitely, the funding allocated.
Part of the last meeting, I distributed two milestone schedules, one with just straight out, no funding ask, and one with funding ask. And we did that at the end of, construction documents, because that will know,
Yeah.
the drawings will be better refined and we'll know an actual. Might be 17 today, it might be 16 at the end.
The equipment part, are we referring to the actual AC unit and everything else that goes with it? Or that is?
That's the rooftop units, the switchgear, those are the primary, the biggies.
And what's the thing that's on delay for 2 years that we won't see if we order it today?
Switchgear. The switchgear is trending about 12 to 15 months.
Okay, so we ordered switchgear today, and obviously it's all hypothetical.
Yeah.
We don't want to order the AC units now because the minute it comes to the school, your warranty kicks in, correct?
Nope. We buy it when it's installed, commissioned, and then the warranty once we reach DCO. Okay? Once that unit is, the building is built, you can do it any way you want, but we typically do is that these are projects are going to be completed in probably 2 phases. But we will tell the contractor substantial completion, whatever that date is, the warranty will start from substantial completion forward.
So we would have these AC units in our possession. I don't have to worry about ordering it a year from now because we don't have the switchgear, but that cost the AC unit will be higher.
One of the things, well, I'd be asking these guys to get it here, so you have.
Yeah, typically when you release contracts, your cost is locked in.
What Jason is saying is when the kit comes out of the box, hypothetical, does the warranty start or it doesn't start until the
The answer is no.
That's-
But here's my thing. If we say, okay, we're ready to go, we ordered those switchgears today. We ordered the AC units today too, and they're delivered next week, let's say. Or do you order them when we get close to switchgear?
You order them. Once we have.
The AC units are about 8 to 12 months. Okay, switchgear is a little bit further. We're gonna order everything, lease contracts.
So it'll be one price today, right?
Yes.
Because what I'm thinking is, why order it? You're not gonna get the final part until 2 years from now.
The answer is order. The answer is once it's set and have the funds to do it,
Order it before the price
everything you
goes up.
possibly can, lock your pricing in, have no warranty concerns, figure out where you're gonna store it in the interim, but get it here because that's a lot worse than finding out that you're 60
Okay.
weeks instead of 40 weeks.
And actually, the storage is the contractors, subcontractors'
Yeah.
issue because they know the schedule.
They
So
built
they
it,
have
and they
to
built
take
it
into
into their
account.
price too.
All right.
I'm gonna be holding these in my
Storage,
warehouse.
considered warranties.
It's a little small, little bit.
So you said you're gonna go, Angeles, you're gonna go to your working group, give them that.
The working group won't happen until after next Friday, so as long as you get, we'll have something that so you can break down.
So these numbers may go down based on what you're thinking, working with the working group.
Working group is just rolling this up into the broader, longer-term planning, and the working group would be a place where, I mean, if everyone flies out of their seats, that might be a place where there's an indication of storm ahead, but that's really what that is. It's very helpful because it also now is well timed and a bigger item for him to continue the massage, but the longer term, several decades, you know, it's a place to flow, like a test bed.
Last week, the first time for the year, one of the things discussed is that half the summit is supposed to be September, pushing it. They're trying to push it into the first or second week of October, so that would give us time to go to that capital summit. We have locked in for the event there. So I'll hope that one or both of you will join me at that meeting, but we'll be questioning and we'll be talking about it, and I think we'll have a good understanding of where we are, why we're where we are, and what we need.
And the thought process and the timeline, and that there's more detail that needs to go in before we can really lock the numbers in and then start trying to do any ordering.
Yes.
Is that we're not going to go timeline-wise while there's still some quicker tempo to get to the boards and ask for more money. It's not going to happen before the beginning of October. give the
They'll want
opportunity to go to
summit,
capital
we'll be
summit.
able to present at the summit what our numbers will be, and right after the summit, we'll request to get on the board agendas.
So the only timeline there would be new boards getting seated, and
in
you may
November,
find a board that doesn't want to take up a huge item on their first meeting, so no one's upset
So
and
again, keep
something like
pushing
that.
that. Yep.
So we should maybe just look at what that would look like.
I know the first select woman has been very helpful with going to these boards, saying, we understand you're a new board, you're seated, but this is something that cannot be left.
The other one may be that at Capital Summit, are we talking November, or are we
So
talking
that's what I was
October
gonna
for
suggest,
that?
if Mark, you could share some timelines, now that we know the
Yeah.
funding, so let's share the schedule that's with additional funding.
Well, because the other one is you could get 3 boards at the end of October, Capital Finance first week of October.
Yep.
Who's
Or
asking
only,
for the funding? Building committee or?
Building committee. As of right now, I go to the Board of Selectmen, present that. She will then make a decision, do we move forward, do we push it? She can also say, hey, you need to adjust it, push it back, whatever the case. She can say, move it forward. If she approves it, we move it forward to the BOF. So
Is it not more than the besides that?
well, the BO, yeah, I mean, well,
BOS.
the BOS would be their
BOS.
first funding stop anyway,
Correct.
so if they
Not
fill
just
it.
her, it's gotta get,
Correct,
But she
correct.
sets the agenda,
She sets
she's
the
got to be
agenda.
made aware,
Correct.
as the chair of the board.
If,
Put it on, she could say, I don't want to put it on, and then it would get it on 2/3 vote, so.
in
not going that
theory,
route.
it won't go back to the BOE unless they request changes to the actual chart, things that change the
To
chart.
the end spec.
Right.
So what's the timeline look like, Mark?
Okay,
Yeah, the BOE would get an update somewhere,
Right.
which is your role, and we could certainly go there and give an update.
correct. The, for additional funds, taking it after construction documents, I have us going in front of the Board of Selectmen on the, November 13th. So that's with, you know, all the way through construction documents, through the estimating, through what we need to. Then we,
November 13th is a lame duck session, right off the bat, and 2 of the 3 are not running.
okay,
So,
then it's November
we should
20th.
just be cognizant
Yeah.
of
Well,
Yeah.
that's fine because,
November 20th,
It's Thanksgiving week.
I don't know what the swearing date is, but usually it's, yeah, so then you, is right before that, right?
no,
That's just a.
All right.
construct, yeah,
So-
that's, we're not going out to bid till we have the funds.
Right.
So,
So we are,
then December 4th.
Well, the other question is looking to see when the capital summit is and see if it can be pushed through in the October meeting. It's a lot safer to put them through the October meeting, but that's also a tough piece of, but that's not our concern. If people want to say we're going to table it or they don't want to vote on it, then.
Yeah, right.
But if we can,
At least we've presented to them.
do you think capital summit is first, have they set the date?
They had a date set in September, but they're looking at moving.
But they think like first week October?
That's what it was hoping.
Okay.
I'll follow up with Jared.
So maybe we look at that schedule and see if October, otherwise I can see this landing out in December.
have we sharpened our pencils and burnt our erasers to the edge, right? So being a very rough draft, I don't see anything as much changing, correct?
Well, what would change is refinement of the design. Again, told you, you're probably like at a 35% design level. You know, there's still a lot more design refinement to do. Along with those refinements, either darkness or dullness to the pencil.
And that's why we'll put those numbers out, we're gonna put these numbers out there. However,
when we start talking about going for funding in November, that's when further along. You'll be at the CD level.
Yeah, Gil,
So this is gonna be the everyone's gonna fall on the floor numbers, but this isn't what we go to the board and ask for. This is on our way to that number.
Oh, I'm well aware.
Could go up,
But we know because of Fairfield Woods, the up in square footage makes up 80% of this increase. I get the 300,000, that's, give or take, the 1 million, give or take, right? It's that 80,000 square foot. And that's something that wasn't predicted. That's a huge gap. And there's a huge mistake or something happened somewhere that we underestimated. If we had the right number from the beginning or somewhat close, then you would have an actual real number going in to the estimate. We wouldn't be going back and saying, this board wouldn't have to go to the boards and say, here's the reason why.
Well, and here's, and that was the numbers that were estimated to get a number for funding were not connected to this building. So, you don't necessarily have ownership. You're fulfilling the mission that you were handed. You're saying, hey,
I thought we were all in together.
I thought, no,
I'm not saying you didn't make the number.
No.
Apparently.
No, Jason, again,
No.
please don't forget the electrical infrastructure.
I was gonna
That's
say,
a
we had
big
the
fee,
electrical,
But, but the thing is, and the way to bring that number out, and it's a political thing, I mean, that's something for, probably Jason to talk about, is the right way to bring out the number is to shock everybody on a first draft of a waterfall, or is it an update to the Board of Selectmen by the chairman of the building? What's the right way to soften the blow?
Well, we've been talking at working group that there are better numbers. So
Right, but that's the
the
working
amount
group.
hasn't been, well, it's the working group.
So-
The chair of the workplace is the first slide.
Let's go back.
so I would,
I'm sorry.
no,
So AC, we're over 9 million construction costs on it, correct? AC project,
I mean,
9 million over the
the
construction.
DTC reports that their estimates are based on are 2 years old.
Yeah, 0.9.
I mean, and
Construction only.
we've gone through escalation in inflation that,
I think
Supply
the
chain.
No, I get it.
doesn't
That's stuff that
update.
we needed to update, and I get that part. I just need to, layman's terms, 9 million over,
Yes.
just on the AC project combined, on construction only. Do we have a total number, what we're over, all in, and I get it, it's just thematic, it's just on the AC project?
I'll get it on the sheet, but I'll get the available funding for the AC project and the other projects on the sheet.
so for where we are today, 10:30, so like we're starting to see dead horse that has the same answer and need for information and all that that's not gonna happen now. What would be helpful heading into, or we're gonna meet next week.
Yep.
In person, and, updating the summary, maybe, a summary of it that involves like some of these footage numbers would be helpful, like just some additional, doesn't have to be, in fact, I would say higher level, better than granular, actually.
Yep.
And start marching towards quantifying some of, like, if these are the 10 talking points, these are the numbers that are associated.
Yep.
With them, it's square footage or percentage scope, right, and let's go down.
You need an alignment matrix, that's what you need.
And then the meeting with the capital group is that next week?
Maybe so.
Okay, so it may not be before then, but this will be helpful prior, or the test bubble will be known then, I guess, is helpful at that.
Right.
And then within a week or two, we're gonna get some sense of this. So this may be actually very helpful for that. And I think we go, okay, I don't think it's helpful, all also, until we have a better sense, working group, capital planning, that whether or not we need to value engineer our way into some other number, or people are, are broadly gonna accept it and say, yes, that makes sense where we're at, and that's why. So I think doing some of that will be helpful, and let us also kind of digest some of this back. In the interim, if you've got places to tweak numbers, including anything on your end that doesn't involve their numbers, that would be helpful too, as we continue to march.
Excellent. And we're gonna apply that to the AC, the vestibules, and the roof, and I think we should keep them, those three separate buckets.
Yeah.
Yeah, so because we don't know what you had for original construction or concept on the vestibule, the roof. We came up with our own estimates construction.
And the vestibules are relatively safe. We have the money for the vestibules related, and it's safe financially.
Yep.
How much do you have for the,
2.1.
what did you, for the construction cost?
There is a three budget
Yeah.
for you, but did you have anything right there? Or?
No, I got their numbers.
Right, I mean, the next, I mean,
Yeah, so we're,
the next step for the vestibule.
Yeah, so we're
is
within
to give
the
the ad service. Once, Colliers have to present it, but the ad service to BL, so that they can put together the sketches, the details, so these guys can jump on it to put it.
So can,
Same thing with the roof.
so there's, the roof, vestibules, and then there's technically the ward, and just carve that thing out as separate, right? And let's get high level with the deltas, some of the talking points with the quantified, and do the best you can to have that back for Friday.
yeah, we should
And,
be okay
and,
for that. That's no problem.
and I think that we'll probably find ourselves in
All
a
right.
better position, at least perspective on it, and
Okay,
go from there.
fair enough.
Does that work?
Works.
Any other comments? Anyone on the public on the call? No one on public?
Nope,
Nick,
dropped off.
anything from BOE? No? Any concerns? Yeah. All right, good. Next on the agenda,
Invoices.
approval of invoices. Mark, go ahead.
We have,
Go ahead.
We do have two of them. And let me.
And it's just, so in sake of time, as Mark's getting this up, I need a motion to, what I'd rather do is put it all together. I make a motion that we hear, ask questions, and then vote on the two invoices that Mark's about to say. All in favor? Aye. All right, Mark.
Okay. Okay. It's two invoices, like we said, BL Companies for their third invoice, and I'm learning this morning that we're unsure if the first two are approved, or BL has not received payment, so at the next meeting, I'll have May and June's in front of you, but today's is only July's for $32,294.45, and that is across the three projects, and it is broken down and approved across the three projects. And then the last one is Colliers for $3,915 for our services in July. So
B and L, it fits into the scope of the initial funding,
Yes.
we'll call it that. Is it with Colliers?
yes. So the total is $36,209.45
For the two combined.
for the two combined.
Questions, board? All right, all in favor of approving the two invoices, say aye. Aye? Okay, it's been approved. Next item, new business, I think we've covered a lot.
I could just give you an update on Ward.
Sure.
contracts are out to save more. It was contractor, shop drawing approved. There is an invoice, it's with the engineer to be signed off. Application one has completed. The job drawings were approved. The next thing is to find a agent. We'll get a quotation. Okay, and that equipment is 40 to 45 weeks out. I can confirm what Marcus said. That.
All right. And that we'll see shortly then? That's for, assuming to be budget that.
Yeah, no, everything, yeah, no, okay.
Any other new business, any other comments? Make a motion to adjourn? Second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you much.